Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Carolyn, and in this video I'm going to be ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes that I used in April, both the palettes that are new to me and also older palettes in my collection. I'm just going to be ranking all of the eyeshadow palettes that I used in April. So if that sounds interesting to you, then just keep on watching. I meant to get this video filmed and up earlier in the month, but it's just been a hectic few weeks for me, so better late than never. I'm going to be ranking from least favorite to most favorite, and I said in the intro I have 15 eyeshadow palettes to rank, so let's just get started. So coming in at number 15 is the Colourpop Tinkerbell palette, the Sprinkle Little Magic palette. Adorable, it's adorable. Definitely 10 out of 10 for packaging. Unfortunately, I think mine might be a dud, or I don't know, because I know that these palettes, Colourpop palettes, can vary from palette to palette in quality, depending on like how hard pressed it is and stuff. And I think these two, these two are like too hard pressed, and I can't get anything up off them. I can't get them to show up. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog; she's kind of being noisy, but so yeah, I can't get these to show up, and so then that kind of limits what I can do with this eyeshadow palette. And I feel like I don't usually get looks that I really like when I use this palette. I mean, you could like, because without these two shades, the pink shades, I'm kind of limited in the looks I can do with this palette. And you could definitely use blush instead of those, but yeah. So anyway, it's just a quality thing for me, and then the color story is a bit limited, and the shimmers are just okay. They're not like anything super special. It is a really pretty color story, but yeah, it's just not, out of everything else here, I felt like it had to rank at the bottom, but I'm still keeping it forever. I'm not mad about it. I love this packaging, or I love this palette for the packaging, and I'll definitely keep it around. It does bring me joy. So anyway, number 15. Number 14 is the Natasha Denona Tropic palette, and this was kindly gifted to me by Deb. Sorry, my dog is being super noisy. I hope you can't hear her, but and there's nothing wrong with this palette. It's just I have a lot of really good palettes to talk about. That's why some of these ones that are still really good are kind of ranking at the bottom, because I have some really good palettes to talk about. So yeah, it's just kind of like I don't really know exactly what to do with this palette. I did use it with another palette that I'm going to talk about here shortly, and the look came out really pretty. It was definitely very blue because I used these two shades. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned, but I tried my best to use every shade in the palettes that were new to me before I put them in this ranking. That's part of why this video is coming up a little bit later, is because I was just trying to make sure that I used pretty much, at least tried to touch every shade one time in the newer palettes. There might be a couple that I missed in like the bigger palettes, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure I used every shade. But anyway, except I don't think I used this green yet, but I did use all of like these three here and this shade here. Yeah, quality is fine. I just find myself a little stuck when I'm coming up with a look for this palette, so that's why it's ranked at number 14. But it's still a good palette, and I'm super happy to have it. So thank you again, Deb. So coming in at number 13 is the Melt 420 palette, and I love this color story. I really enjoy this palette overall. I just find it's not the best quality. It's not the worst quality, but it's not the best quality. And my friend Sparkle Cake Face on Instagram recommended using this NYX eyeshadow base for this palette, and it does help a lot. So it's this NYX eyeshadow base in white. This is what it looks like. So I got it on Amazon, but it does help with the performance of this palette. I just find still the shade is a little bit chalky still, and this shimmer shade is just a dud shade. Sparkle Cake Face even said that she like traded this one out, and this is one of her favorite palettes. So, but yeah, the shimmer shade is just I just decided I'm not going to use it anymore. And then I do find that this yellow shade and these greens are just a little bit chalky, but I still really enjoy this palette. It's definitely one I'm still going to be pulling out this fall, and I really enjoy having it. But yeah, it's ranked at number 13. Number 12 is another palette that Deb gifted me, and it is the Natasha Denona Ayana palette. And it's ranked where it is just because the color story is just a little bit limited and also very neutral, but it's a really good little neutral palette. I have heard that people have a hard time getting it to stay on their eyelids. So I went ahead and just double primed my eyelids when I use this palette, and I haven't had any issues with fading or creasing. And I do have to double prime my eyelids with like the other Natasha Denona palettes, because they do crease on me and fade on me if I don't double prime my eyelids. And what I do is I go in with the Milani eye primer, and then I just let that sit for a bit, and then I go in with the Ulta Matte Beauty Primer, and then I do my eyeshadow. It's a great tip I learned from my YouTube channel called Floating in Dreams. Highly recommend checking out her channel. She has a lot of great content. If you like eyeshadow palettes, she has a lot of eyeshadow palette videos. Anyway, back to this palette. So these mattes, the mattes are so good in this palette. These two I use for my eyebrows. Like, I have that today, so I have this in the front part, like up until here, up until the little tail thing, and then this is what I have. This darker shade here is what I have on the end. Oh, and I did switch these shades. I don't remember. I think one of these mattes, this matte is like supposed to be here, or this matte there. I can't remember, but I know it was like this matte I switched because I did find that I really like these two shades for my eyebrows. So this palette has gotten the most use for me because I've been using these two shades in my eyebrows a lot. And I don't know if you can see the dips on camera, but there's actually a little bit of dips in here because I use them a lot. But anyway, so thank you again, Deb. And then the next palette is also from Deb. It is the Flower Beauty Jungle Lights palette. And just like everyone has said that I've heard talk about this palette, the shimmers are high-end quality. Because this is if you didn't know, it's a drugstore palette, Flower Beauty. And so I think this palette is about $16. So I do think it's worth the $16. The shimmers are just really good quality. They're as good as any high-end shimmer I've tried, so like Natasha Denona and stuff like that. They're not shifty or anything, they're just very metallic shimmers, but they're very opaque, easy to use. They don't crease or fade on me, so I don't really have anything negative to say about these shimmers. I will say, so I forgot to mention that I always use a NYX glitter primer with any shimmer, so that could be part of it. But even with the NYX glitter primer, some eyeshadow formulas will still crease, so that's when I have to do the double priming. But yeah, I really enjoy this palette. I think the shimmers are really pretty, and I just didn't really know. I felt like there's no dud shades in this palette. There's not a dud shade in this palette, but it is an all shimmer palette, so it's always going to be a companion palette for me. So that's why it's ranked where it is, but it's fantastic quality. So if you're interested in just an all shimmer palette, this is a good one. And they also have the Desert Lights palette, which is a little bit more neutral. But yeah, so that is number 12. Actually, that was number 11. Sorry. And this one, I don't think I have very many pictures with. I think the one picture I have is just with, I think I did a look combining these two palettes. And I also used the Colourpop Ice Dream just because the tone, like I think I used this shade and the tone was different than how I wanted, like then it just didn't look right. So I used Ice Dream on top of that, but I don't know if I took any other pictures because I was kind of wearing this like when I was in a hurry and stuff. So yeah, if I don't have pictures up, that's why. Number 10 is the Alice in Wonderland, Colourpop Alice in Wonderland palette. This is actually what I'm wearing today, and I'm wearing my glasses because I really messed up on my eyeliner, my liquid liner, and I'm going to put pictures up so you can see it better because you can't really see how it looks with my glasses on as well. I don't know. I don't think you can. But yeah, I just took my contacts out because I was thinking like, oh, I'm just not gonna film, I'm just going to, but then I put my glasses on and I was like, oh, you can't even tell that I messed up so bad. So yeah, anyway, that's what happened. This is the Alice in Wonderland palette from Colourpop. I feel like I wish there was more depth in this palette, and sometimes I would struggle coming up with looks with this palette, but the shimmers in this palette are so good. So they're kind of like, so this one is one I'm wearing today, and I'll try to put hold of the palettes because I'm putting the pictures there, but I hope I haven't like blocked the pictures. Anyway, these shades here, so this I'm wearing in my inner corner, and it's actually almost like, it looks pink in the pan, but it's almost kind of an iridescent, let me see if I can, like bluish shimmer shade. I mean, it's like a shifty duochrome. This is a really pretty, like, it's eye safe, whatever they're doing with these new glitter formulas, they're not a pressed glitter, but they almost look like a pressed glitter, and whatever this formula is that Colourpop's doing, and it is like this shade and this shade are this like new formula of theirs that's almost a pressed glitter, but it's eye safe. I really enjoy them because I don't get glitter all over my face, and I still get a lot like the sparkle that I would want from a pressed glitter. And I just love this new formula from Colourpop. And anyway, all of the shimmers in this palette are so good because they're all like they're all special. They're all kind of like duochrome and I guess they're kind of also like a satin formula. So they're not the most sparkly, like, well, this one's really sparkly and this one's really sparkly. But then the rest are like the rest of the shimmers are almost satiny, but they're all kind of duochrome, iridescent, like special shades. So yeah, that's why it's ranking. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but the more I used it, the more I liked it. And because the reason I didn't think I would like it that much was because of how limited the color story is, in my opinion. Like, I just kind of struggled coming up with looks. But once I started playing around with it, I was able to come up with looks pretty easy, because this is like, it's black, but it's not a super pigmented black. So this could be like your deepening up shade for every look. And that's kind of what I've been doing, and that's what I did today. So It's not as limiting as I thought it was going to be. I do kind of wish there was more depth, but overall, I really am enjoying this palette, using this palette. I didn't think I would like it nearly as much as I do, and I got it purely for the packaging because I love Alice in Wonderland. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this palette, very much enjoying it. Really glad that I got it. I mean, I would have gotten it anyway for the packaging. I knew I was going to get it before I even saw the color story, but I'm actually pretty pleased with the looks I'm getting with this palette, so yeah. Number 9 is the What's Up Beauty Desert Monsoon palette. I wanted this because it's an Arizona brand, and this palette is Arizona themed, and I live in Arizona, so I wanted to get this palette. And I went to the mall with the Chandler Mall where they sell where What's Up Beauty, the What's Up Beauty store is, and I went with Unapologetically Shelly, and we both got this palette, so that was fun. But yeah, I really like this palette. I don't really have any complaints about it. The shimmers are really pretty. The mattes work well. I don't have anything negative to say about it. The shimmers aren't like particularly super sparkly or super impactful, but I'm okay with that. I mostly got it for the packaging. I don't know, I know I'm kind of weird like that. I buy a lot of palettes just for collector's reasons for the packaging. But yeah, I've been enjoying this palette. I feel like it's a good palette if you like neutrals, but you also want a little bit of color. I don't think you would be disappointed with this palette because you do get a little bit of color, but you also get neutrals, and I feel like you can get really pretty looks with this palette. So yeah, that was number 9. Number 8, and these upcoming ones are all really good. I actually switched a few of these around before, like right as I was sitting here, but this is where it landed, so I'm just gonna leave it here. This number 8, this is the Odins Eye from their this is the Planet Spirit palette in collaboration with Betty Jean from their like Perfect World collection. I did get all 3 palettes, and this is a really good palette. I thought it was going to be harder to work with because I felt like the color story was a bit limited. Like I looked at it and I was kind of stuck, but once I started using it, I really enjoyed it. And because these mattes when you blend them out, it looks like you're wearing more colors than you actually are. And so it looks like you're wearing like a transition shade and a deepening up shade. So yeah, I think all of the shimmers, or all the shades perform well. These mattes perform really well. All of the shimmer shades perform well. Like, I don't really have any complaints about this palette. I guess maybe the complaint would be that there's like, I would kind of wish there was more like lighter shades in here for the mattes, but I mean, after using it, I don't even know if that's necessary. But yeah, I think this is a super fun palette, super fun color story, great quality formula wise. Packaging is super cute. I think it depends on like your preference, you know, like if whether or not you would enjoy this palette. You know, if you're not someone who wears color a lot, then probably don't get this palette. And then number 7 is the Flora Story palette from the same collection, and this is in collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. And this is the color story. Super pretty. I did a look though where I used this shade and this shade, and I felt like I kind of struggled with this matte, and it is a bit finicky. Anyway, in the look I did, it just didn't turn out very well at all. This shade kept picking up and I couldn't get it to blend out very well, and then this shade I put it on. I did use the NYX glitter primer, but it just kind of stuck where I put it on, and it wasn't blending out as well as I wanted it to. And I think I was kind of let down a little bit by that, because I feel like the Hella palette, which I have right there, from Odins Eye, is better quality than this was, and I was expecting that quality from this palette, and it's just like, it's not quite as good, but it's still really good. Anyway, what I was saying was I had like a look that I really struggled with, and I didn't like the way it came out, but then the next day I tried it again and it turned out fine. So I'm not sure really what that was about, but I don't know, it is what it is, I guess. It's just a bad makeup day. So I do find like this shade is a bit finicky, but the rest perform fine. Like there's no other problems with this palette other than like there's no performance issues with this palette other than this matte. And then you have to be, this one is like, it's not as much of a blendable shimmer as other ones from here, because I feel like I could still kind of like blend some shimmers in the crease and like kind of blend them out after I put them on my eyelids. I hope I'm making sense, but anyway, yeah, I struggled with this palette a little bit, not too much, but and it was just like one day, because the other days I used it and it was fine. So I'm not sure what was up with that one time, but then I used it, I kept using it, and it was fine. So anyway, this is number 7. Number 6 is the Lauren Mae Beauty palette, the Sea Talk palette, and from the same collection. And I didn't intend for these to all rank together, but that's just kind of how it happened. I feel like these are all kind of similar in quality, so it's just kind of whatever in formula, but it's kind of like whatever your personal preference is. But yeah, so I think this is my favorite of the color stories, and that's why it's here. I will say though, the mattes in this palette, well, this matte and this matte are a little bit of a struggle to work with. Like I had to bring in, when I did a look with this matte, and I actually brought in the Ayana palette from Natasha Denona, because I just couldn't get it to blend like I wanted it to, and it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to. But yeah, it's fine. The look turned out really pretty, and it's just I'm being a little bit nitpicky with the ranking. I will say, like, this collection is not as good of quality as the Hella palette, or I also have the Verdandi palette from Odins. I feel like those palettes are a little bit better in formula and quality. So yeah, I don't think this is Odins Eye's best work, but it's still really good quality. This is really good as an inner corner shade. It's not really the best for blending out, like blending in your crease, but it is really good for like packing on the lid or using it as an inner corner. You could pack it on the lid and then layer, you know, like this shade or one of the other shades. Oh, that's another thing, is like these palettes pair really well together, so also like keep that in mind. But this pairs well with especially like the Planet Spirit palette. These two color stories pair super well together if you're into like colorful looks. You could, this what is this shade? Fauna shade looks really pretty over this yellow shade. I don't think I have a picture of that, but anyway, these two make a really pretty look. I think I have a picture of that. Just these two shades. I did that a few times. This shade is a little bit more like iridescent than how it looks in the pan. But yeah, I really enjoyed this palette. I'm super glad that I got it. I have no regrets about getting this collection. I do really enjoy it. I just did want to mention that it's not Odins Eye's best quality. It's still really good though. Everything else are palettes that I absolutely love. And I still love those palettes too. I really actually enjoy all of the palettes in this ranking, so it was really hard to rank them. So I mean, you could kind of take this ranking with a grain of salt, but I really enjoy all of these palettes. So next up is the Chocolate Martini palette from Glam. This is interesting because I thought I didn't like this palette the first few times I used it. I got it during Black Friday this last year, and I was like really disappointed when I got it because I thought that the mattes were too thin and like didn't blend well, and it was kind of, I felt like the shimmers were really impactful, and like the opaqueness of the shimmers was more intense than the mattes, so it was like I couldn't get a look that I really liked because I felt like the mattes weren't deep enough or opaque enough. But I used it without setting my, I usually set my eyeshadow primer with like powder, like loose powder or some sort of eyeshadow base color or something, because I find that I get a better blend that way. But this formula works best. I tried it finally without setting my lids, and this formula works a lot better for me when I don't set my eyeshadow. And so I've been using this palette without setting my eyeshadow, and it's phenomenal. Like, I really love this eyeshadow palette now because this color story is my kind of color story, because it's like purpley toned neutrals and purple-ish looks purple. The color purple looks really pretty on me with my brown eyes. I just find like I really like purple eyeshadow, and the shimmers are just really pretty, and every time I wear this, my husband compliments my eyeshadow. He says he really likes my eyeshadow. Like, one time I wore this and he said it like 3 different times that he liked my eyeshadow, so, and that's in the same day. So yeah, I feel like that makes it a winner in my book, and I've just really been enjoying this palette. So yeah, I'm really glad that I tried using it without setting my eyelids, and found that it worked really well that way. And number 4 is the Heather Austin palette from Adept. This I got based off of the recommendation of Brittany Ray Beauty. She raved about this palette, and it was going out of stock. I think it is out of stock now. I saw on YouTube or Instagram Heather Austin say that it was the last restock. So like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, no, I'm gonna get it, because I had just been waiting to get it. Anyway, I really enjoy this palette. I think the formula is good. Like, there's no really dead shades from what in my personal experience. The shimmers are really impactful and shifty. I don't know if you can see if I can get it to show in the mirror, but like, yeah, you can see like this is purple, blue. I won't talk too much about it because you can't get it anymore, but no complaints from me about this palette. Super pretty. Really glad I picked it up when I did. Number 3 is the Mel Thompson, the Tiny Marvels palette from Sydney Grace with Mel Thompson. And this is a palette that's been in my collection for a while. I still really love it. I've loved it since I got it. I used to have issues with it like fading away on creasing, and creasing on me, but with double priming my eyelids, I don't have that issue anymore, and I've really been enjoying wearing it now that it doesn't crease or fade on me. Beautiful color story. Mattes are perfect, easy to work with. No complaints about this palette. Just gorgeous palette. Number 2 is the Ace Beauté Paletopoli palette, and this I got based off of the recommendation of Caitlin House, and I love her eyeshadow looks that she does. So when she said that this was like one of her favorite palettes, I really wanted to try it out because I also love the color story, and I've had a lot of fun playing with it. I do think the formula is pretty good. It's not like my favorite formula, but it's pretty good. And if you were looking for a colorful palette, I would recommend this. I know there's a game that comes with it. I haven't played the game. I really don't intend to play the game. I have it because I think it's cute. Like, it's a cute little box. And here's the little box, the game box. I haven't played it, like I said. I'm keeping it for because I think it's cute packaging. But yeah, I'm really glad I picked this up. If you want a Colourpop palette, and this speaks to you, I do recommend this palette. Okay, and then coming in at number 1 is the Cosmic Brushes Muse palette. So this one, the color story is gorgeous, and the formula is phenomenal. No issues with this palette. This shade looks blue on camera, but it's purple. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with this palette. There's not a dud shade in here in my experience. I don't think I took pictures of every look I did with this palette because it was a hectic... Stella, come here, Stella. It was a hectic couple of months for me. Stella? Stella, no. Come here, Stella. Come here. Come on, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm just gonna hurry to wrap this up. But yeah, I don't think I took a picture of every single look that I did with this palette because I did have a hectic couple of months, which I will probably be talking about in an upcoming video. But yeah, I used this palette quite a bit during that time, during the last few weeks, because there's a lot of really pretty neutral looks that you can get with this palette. It's just super easy palette to work with. Love this palette. Definitely want to get the Serenity palette at some point in time. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this palette. If you had your eye on this palette, I don't think you'll be, if you get it, I don't think you'll be disappointed in it. I highly recommend it if you've been thinking about it. Great palette. And I think it's a permanent palette, but I know I believe it's a permanent palette, but it goes out of stock a lot. So, but it goes out of stock like as soon as the owner restocks it. So, and that's kind of the theme with all of their palettes at Cosmic Brushes. But this one is really good. Definitely want to try. I've only heard good things about the Serenity palette, so I definitely want to try that one. But anyway, that is my ranking for all of the palettes that I used in April. I'm sorry that the end of this video was a little bit chaotic. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!